And it's my great pleasure and honor to present our guest speakers today, Al and Jean Fike. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, gracious God, we thank you for this beautiful morning in this sacred, holy place, and for bringing us together, brothers and sisters, in your love and your creation. We thank you for this beautiful land of Canada. Help us to make this country move forward with more equality and justice and abundance for all the children of Canada, and be as global citizens in this world of ours. We ask that you will bless us this morning with the great blessing of your love to descend upon each one of us in this place and in this time. May we each open our souls to at one with you, to be in holy communion with you, and to receive the mighty, mighty blessing of an inflowing of your love. We thank you. Amen.
Amen. In the spiritual tradition, there are 7 principles that we believe in, and they are the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the communion of spirits and the ministry of angels, continuous existence of the soul, personal responsibility, compensation and retribution for all good and evil deeds, and eternal progress is open to every soul. And there's a quote that we embrace at this church here that is from an entity called Silverbirch and channeled through a medium called Maurice Barbanel. And that quote is, "Our allegiance is not to a creed, not to a book, not to a church, but to the great spirit of life and its eternal natural laws." With that, I'm going to ask you all to turn your love and attention to the platform as Jean gives us our reading, and followed by Al giving us our address. Thank you.
Thank you. Oops, sorry, here I am again, and this time I have notes. So, thank you for the opportunity, Nadine, to select a reading, because Al and I just have been so blessed in our walk with angels, with so many magnificent messages, and it took us a long time to select this one that I'll read, and it's kind of long, so I hope that you'll make yourselves comfortable. If you feel like kicking off your shoes, anything to make yourself comfortable. If you feel like closing your eyes, please be welcome. And this one was received through a wonderful medium, a wonderful friend of ours named Catherine Stokes, and it was received in 1989 in Arlington, Virginia. I come to you, and it's from Jesus. I come to you again today to bring what I can to earth through you in the way of inspiration and helpful hints as to how any person, any one of God's children, may apply the truths of his love in a personal way, and which in turn will afford that individual the necessary balance between material and spiritual qualities to make his earth life more rewarding and fulfilling. I am your friend and brother in Christ, Jesus of the Bible, who is master of the celestial heavens, and I welcome this opportunity to deliver my thoughts in this way, which he did through automatic handwriting. As you realize, mankind is for the most part extremely out of balance between his spiritual and material natures, and because of this imbalance, he strives to bring things into harmony solely on the material level of existence. And this is not possible because he is primarily a spiritual being. The only way mankind can obtain harmony and peace is by recognizing the importance of developing a loving nature. And since man is functioning predominantly on the material level, he does not understand the meaning of pure love, unselfish love, nor does he comprehend the great spiritual joys which he could experience as a result of developing this loving quality within his own soul. He seems to believe that love needs to be experienced on the physical level, but this is an erroneous belief because unless or until love commences in the spiritual nature of a person, it cannot be manifested on the physical or material level. Only a mockery of love can be demonstrated and will not bring fulfillment or joy to the ones involved in such mockery. Man must know that he has a dual nature, and that before the material aspect of his nature can come into harmony with his higher purpose, he must make great effort to develop the spiritual aspect of his nature, the love aspect, the development of his soul, which is his real self. So many people do not even recognize that they have a soul, let alone that they are soul, that their consciousness is part of their soul quality, that their ability to learn and to love is a result of their being soul. And each person owes it to himself to find out, to learn what the potential destiny of his soul is, and how he can affect that destiny, what part he needs to play in order to bring about the finest result of future growth and happiness and fulfillment. The only way he can discover what his future potential is to get in touch with his soul qualities and seek with his heart for the answers to these most important and meaningful questions. For his heart is the most meaningful part of his physical aspect, more closely representing the desires of the soul. Seek with your heart. Want to know the truth. Don't allow anything less than the truth to satisfy your search for future happiness and rewards. It's good to have short-range goals, but it is necessary to have long-range goals in order to work toward your highest good. And the only way a person can have a long-range goal is to find out who he is, to start with, to discover that he is a child of God with an unlimited potential, providing he gets in touch with his soul's desires and strives with all his might to fulfill these desires. A soul is created with an innate consciousness of its relationship to God. And since the rebestowal of the availability of divine love, which I announced and taught when I came to earth, every soul has an inner drive and awareness and desire to become at one with its Creator. So when a person looks into his own heart and soul for the answers to his spiritual questions, little by little the encrustments of fear and other negativities will commence to decrease, and his true feelings will commence to emerge. These feelings are tender and sensitive. They cannot be forced out into the open by threats or anger. They must be sought for through silence and patience and sincere desire to know the truth. through prayers to God for His help and love, through sincere desires to overcome negative qualities and to develop the highest potential of your soul. These prayers and desires will not always be heartfelt at the onset of one's spiritual progress. They must become firmly established as a way of thinking and being before they take root, so to speak, and become more of a natural and commonplace way of functioning. For example, you can't force yourself to pray any more than you can force anyone else to pray. It must come about as a soulful desire, as a response to an inner prompting. You can be taught, encouraged, influenced, but the praying must be carried out by the individual seeking spiritual development. You can change your thoughts in order to change your desires. You can decide you want to develop the highest potential of your spiritual nature, and know this can be accomplished only through holding good and loving thoughts and through consistent striving to extend your love, even in situations you have heretofore found it difficult to do so. These are positive and helpful steps that can be taken on the material level of thinking to bring about a change in your personality and to bring your soul into focus over your material desires. In order to develop your spiritual desires, resulting in soul development, you must make conscious efforts to change your thoughts and to bring your mind to focus more on spiritual things, away from revenge, anger, and hatred. If these negative emotions cannot be avoided in the present circumstances of your life's activities, then it is recommended to change those activities in order to assist yourself in bringing about higher, better, more loving thoughts into your daily affairs of living. Each individual has the power to control what he thinks and what he desires, unless he has allowed negative thoughts and emotions to take over his life and free will by consistent indulgence in these negative activities. So it is never too late to start to change, for it isn't accomplished while an individual is still in his earth life. He must continue to decide how he wants to conduct himself when he enters the next phase of existence, whether to be angry and bitter, unhappy and lonely, to see the bright side of events and of people too. Make the decision that you want to develop the highest potential of your soul. Recognize that it is within your power to change your direction, to change your thoughts and desires, and that as a result of a positive change, you will be bringing forces to bear on your own behalf. The perfect workings of God's laws at work in the universe and in each individual's life will assist you in your progress and the attainment of your goals and desires. I am your friend and brother in Christ who leaves you now with all my love and gratitude for allowing me to write. I am Jesus of the Bible and Master of the Celestial Heavens.
Well, there's a lot in that message, certainly a long message. And I think on a daily basis we're confronted with our own humanness, those parts of us that do tend to be judgmental or negative, that react to the many conditions in this world and situations in this world that are challenging. You know, life is challenging. it's a difficult way to grow and evolve because it's kind of chaotic. You know, you don't know what's going to come around the corner. You don't know what life is going to bring you. And so today I want to talk about a basic law, which is the law of attraction. Now, I think I'm going to begin with a little story, a little experience I had, which was my first conscious experience with spirit. And it came in the form of a dream. It was actually a nightmare. I won't go into a lot of detail, but it was kind of complicated. But, you know, there were things going on in this dream that I felt I was, you know, things were out of control. I was panicking. There were even things like poltergeists involved and all kinds of weird stuff. And I woke up, you know, in a panic. You know how you wake up sometimes, your heart is beating fast and you're wondering what the heck is going on here. So anyway, I woke up and I soon became aware that there was an entity standing over me while I was in bed. It didn't feel like a very nice presence. Kind of prickly and I don't know, emotionally disturbed, I think was the kind of feeling I got from this individual. I think it was a man. And he said at the end of the dream, and as I was waking up, he said, "Life is hell for those who blend into their environment." That was his message to me. So I think at the time it was relevant, but you know, looking back, I'm not sure exactly how, but it did kind of encourage me, I think, to change. Anyway, I thought, well, I'm in this situation, this entity is here, how do I get rid of it? And I had done some reading, so it says you have to be firm, you have to tell the entity to leave. So that's what I did. I got up, I got out of bed, I stood by the door and I said, "I know you're here and I want you to leave right now." And as I said that, I could feel this prickly wave kind of sweep by and out the door. So it worked. So I think many of us have had some kind of experience with spirit. You know, I think that's probably what makes you want to come to a place like this that acknowledges the existence of spirit. And my question of the day is, what kind of experience do you want? You know, if you're opening up to this world, this reality, which has many, many different stratas and variations and types of spirit and types of messages and types of energetic conditions, what do you want? What are you drawing to yourself? And it is really your desire and your thoughts and your motivation that draws these conditions to you. It's the law of attraction. Like attracts like. And we are, I believe, essentially we are transmitters of energy. Our thoughts transmit things. Our soul condition is definitely emanates a light or a dark condition, depending on where we're at. Our actions exhibit energetic imprints into the world. You know, as we do things, we're changing the world. We're adding to the energy of the world. And so our thoughts, our actions, our soul condition determine a lot as to what we attract to ourselves in our lives. And many people don't even have a clue about this. It's has no relevance in their life, and yet all of these things still act upon their being and their consciousness. In one way or another, it might act in the form of a dream like I had when I really wasn't that cognizant as to what was going on as a young man. I was only about 19 at the time. But like me, many people have these experiences. There are glimpses into this other world. And those glimpses may be informative. They might be inspiring. They might be terrifying. They could be all kinds of things. But the reality of spirit exists. And that reality isn't entirely separate from our reality because we are spirits inhabiting a fleshy body. So those are our spiritual conditions. Our energy is active in the world and within our own inner world. So knowing this, what do you do to enhance and to bring us along in a way that things are more positive than negative, as this message that Jean wrote, or spoken. Yeah, I didn't write it, spoke. You wish you wrote it. It talks about a choice. It talks about your thoughts. It talks about how you conduct yourself in the world. And that all of these things have consequences. They have a certain level of consequence in the material world. And obviously we know that when you make choices, you do certain things in the world, it causes reactions which come back to you. And, it can be positive or negative or whatever. But also everything that we do here will reflect upon where we land up in the spheres of spirit. Because of this law of attraction, when we pass over, we go to a plane of existence that is in harmony with our own inner condition. And that inner condition is the result of all the thoughts that we've had in our life and all the actions that we've taken in our life and the amount of light that is in our soul. So everything we do in this world, as you were saying, Nadine, we all have to take responsibility for ourselves and our actions in the world, our thoughts, everything that we do. And there are times when we feel like we're a victim, and yet how do we respond to a situation that we didn't create but still washes over our lives and over us, especially something that's very negative? It's a challenge to change our thinking, to change our response, to bring it to love. Because love is the ultimate goal. Love is what will heal. Love is what brings light. Love brings inner peace. Love, striving for love, in my humble opinion, is the most important goal that we can have in this world. If we do nothing else, if we can strive to be able to love, and if we can be a channel of love in the world, then I think we have brought ourselves to a place that in the long run, maybe in the material world, there won't be a lot of rewards. Often the most loving people aren't rich or famous or whatever. They're just average people living a life of love. And yet, when they pass over into spirit, they receive such rewards for being a person of light. And that is what we're trying to build within ourselves, light. To expunge the dark thoughts, those negative feelings, those old habits to bring negative responses. That law of attraction working in so much as it brings more difficulties to our lives. You want to turn that around and bring it into a stream of positive consciousness, loving intention, and grace in your life. There are lots of ways of doing it. For Jean and I, it's the power of prayer. It's going to God, going to that source of all light and all love, and asking God to bring it to us, to surround us with this love and bring this love into our souls. Because our souls have the capacity to receive this essence of God, the divine love, and transform everything about us. It helps us, it gives us the fuel to make that transition from what is generally a kind of semi-dark, mixed bag of who we are in the world and how the world is generally that influences us and kind of programs us into a rather mediocre spirituality or spiritual condition, I should say. This stuff is like rocket fuel, this divine love. It stimulates a change within us. It guides us into more light. It compels us to be more loving, because if we have divine love, God's essence in our soul, then it ignites our capacity to love. It fuels it. And it also changes our minds, because that light that influences our being, all of our being, it infiltrates every part of us. And we start to change. And that man of 40 some odd years ago that had this terrible dream, I don't think exists anymore. There's vestiges of that guy, but he didn't know what he wanted. He didn't know anything really about the spiritual world or his own spiritual world or anything. It's been a lifelong journey of discovering, I think, essentially what is important. And it has been a very successful journey. I think I've read a lot. I've prayed a lot. I've prayed in circles. I've prayed on my own. I've prayed and prayed and prayed. And prayer to me is the greatest mechanism to bring more light in my life. Because I don't believe that we can do it by ourselves. I think that God has to be involved one way or another. There has to be an acknowledgement, and in my case, a reconciliation with God, because before that I felt negative towards God. I think I was atheistic, and I didn't think much of Jesus either. I didn't think much of anybody. Probably thinking a lot more about myself. And it took a while to kind of migrate my thinking and to kind of gain a bit of humility. As a teenage boy, I was, we're all kind of arrogant and we think we know it all and all that stuff. But my experiences, especially with spirit, because I've had many, many, many of those experiences over the years, that one conscious experience that I told you is just one of, I don't know, could I call it daily? Maybe. I've integrated the reality of spirit into my life. And I've done so because I've been able to utilize these laws, and especially the law of attraction, to benefit me. Because I realize that I've got to have positive thoughts. I've got to work on those patterns of thinking, so that when I'm engaging in the world, I'm not judging and or feeling fearful of judgment, or any number of human reactions that are not positive. I'm training myself how to love myself, and how to love others. It's a tough job. I started out on this spiritual journey with very low self-esteem. I didn't love myself. I had very, very little sense of myself, or even a sense that I was worthwhile. And I had to work at it. I had to work hard at it. But as I saw results, then I kept going. It's the carrot in front of the donkey, right? God gives you a blessing. God helps you, uplifts you, supports you. And he does that through a variety of ways, including the angels. And as we connect and draw ourselves closer and closer to those conditions, as we build more light into ourselves, these things become more evident. And the beautiful spirits that are available to any one of us, anybody in the world, is astounding. This is, in my mind, God's mercy. He allows all of us to have this kind of help, this support. But you have to ask for it. You have to want it. You have to desire it. You have to think about it. You have to bring it into your consciousness. You have to apply what you learn in the process of awakening your soul. And all of these challenges then and tests help us to grow. We grow within ourselves. We expand the light within our souls by choosing light, by choosing those things that we innately know are good. And there's lots of temptations, there's lots of distractions, there's lots of everything that brings you away. And, so therefore this process of awakening and transformation and bringing light and goodness into yourself is not a quick process. It's kind of slow, 2 steps forward, 1 step back sort of thing. At least it was for me. I mean, maybe there are some of you that have found it very easy, but I certainly didn't. I didn't start in a very good place, so I had to work my way out of that. And but I was given support and love by God, by his angels, by people here in the world, from all kinds of different sources and all kinds of different life experiences have helped me to grow and learn, and challenged me to apply what I know to be the truth. And the truth is that love will conquer all. Love will transform all. Love will bring what you really want. Because that true desire comes from your soul. And your soul doesn't really want material gains and all these material benefits. I mean, we appreciate them. I'm not saying that I don't appreciate that I have a life where I have a roof over my head and I'm materially provided for. But that was never really the goal. The goal was to be happy, to feel good within myself, to love myself, to have a life that is filled with love, to have opportunities in my life where I could express love, that I could give. That was the goal. And in many ways that's fulfilled. It's an ongoing process. My life isn't perfect. I'm not perfect. My wife might be perfect.
He's in training.
But it's a wonderful adventure. And as you build the light within yourself, you draw all these other things that you need to have a good life. It just comes. It falls into your lap. You hear the opportunity when it arises, because God places in your path so many opportunities. But you've got to be able to recognize them and grasp them and be strong enough to take them. Say, okay, I'll go with this. And so there are many times I've not grasped the opportunities, and I know they're there. I see them. They're plain to my vision. But I said, no, I don't really want that. And we have free will. We can choose. And yet, further down the road, I say, oh, darn, I should have done that, or I should have taken that opportunity up. And so it's not a straight and narrow path. It can be. It has the potential to be. But often we meander, we zigzag around, and our minds. I blame my mind that I have ambitions. I have goals of the mind rather than goals of the soul that tend to bring me off course a little bit. But that's all part of life. How do you learn? You learn by making mistakes, or you learn by experiencing life in one way or another. So God allows that. God doesn't punish us. God doesn't ever stop loving us. God doesn't pull away from us. We pull away from God. I've done it countless times. But God always brings you back into alignment, into that flow, into the light. If you allow it, if you desire it, if your soul longs for it. And with that longing, you invoke the law of attraction. You bring yourself into the light. You bring those wondrous entities that are out there into your aura, into your presence. And they can help you. My God, they can help you. They can bring you all kinds of information, truth, love, upliftment. They can strengthen you. I used to be phobic about public speaking. I go into a total panic. It's not there anymore. And I think partly because I was healed from that fear. And that fear originates from a sense of not loving myself and feeling that I have something to give. That, my experience might be interesting to some of you, and I hope it has been. And this is what happens. This evolution of your soul happens with the alignment to light, the desire for love, exercising your will in prayer, bringing that desire forward from your soul, acknowledging that this is what is really meant for you in your life. And if you can do that, you open the door to incredible experiences, revelations, things that happen in your life that you kind of look back and think, oh my God, how did that happen? Something really wonderful and positive, some gift in your life. That's God. That's the law of attraction. That's the law of love. It all works together, but you have to kind of get on that train, going in that direction. Because if you kind of step in and step out, step in and step out, which is pretty normal in the beginning of this journey, good things happen, bad things happen. Good things, and God keeps pulling you back, you keep pulling yourself away. But eventually you get there, you kind of straighten out a bit. But it requires faith. It requires a trust in the process. And it requires something really important. And that is to ask for divine love. Divine love is God's essence. To ask for that essence to enter into your soul. It doesn't exist there now, or it may exist to some degree, because at one point you've been open to it. But it is opening to God. It's saying, I acknowledge your existence. I acknowledge that you are all love. And I wish to receive the blessing of your love, your essence. Bring it into my soul. Open my soul to that gift. And in saying that prayer and saying it with earnestness, it may not feel earnest at the beginning if you're new to it, but it will come because your soul really wants this. And often we don't know that because we're living up here. You know, we want lots of things up here. And it's hard to acknowledge the soul because there's all this other stuff going on up here, all these energies that are flowing back and forth in your mind and in your life and all that stuff. But to sit and be quiet, to still your mind, say a prayer like that. Whatever comes to your soul, to your that deep place that longs, say that prayer. See what happens. It will touch you. God will touch your soul and you'll feel it. And when you feel it, when you feel the inflowing of His love, there's no turning back. It is the most magnificent, wonderful experience that you can have, in my opinion. There are lots of other wonderful experiences for sure, spiritual experiences, but that experience of being touched within your soul with divine love, man, it is, I don't know, indescribable. It's indescribable and beautiful and full of peace and full of joy and full of knowing that yes, I'm here. I made it to that place that I've always wanted to be at because our souls all want to go there. So I think I'll end my talk. I had a lot of things in cards that I didn't even really go with, but the law of attraction, the law of love. You know, keep that in mind. Everything we do, every thought we have, every prayer we make, every motivation we have, every energy we put out, every energy that comes in, it's determined by the law of attraction and your desire, what you really want. And I would encourage all of you to desire love, because that's the highest of all desires. The highest of all blessings is love. So thank you, and we're going to have a meditation.
Thank you. You touched on lots of these principles in that talk.
Yeah,
that was great. Thank you.
It would be helpful to send your love to the medium because, after all, we all really want the highest loving celestial angel to come through. And if we are indeed blessed with a message from an angel, we'll all benefit from it. So thank you for that. So I invite you to plant your feet on Mother Earth, this glorious Mother Earth, to receive the energies from the center of the earth, and to open your posture to receive the energies from the heavens. And we've been told that every time we come and pray with others in God's service, that the angels will come and be with us. And there is an angel with each individual here today. Some of you may already be aware of an angel with you. And the angel comes to pray with you, to pray with all of us. They're enveloping all of us here in this beloved, beautiful sanctuary to help us rise up, dear God, above the conditions of this world, and to be at one with you, to know our souls and our soul connection with you as a child of yours. Help us to receive a mighty inflowing of your love and your presence in our lives during this time of prayer and always. Bless each person here, those sitting beside you, behind you, in front of you, across from you, each one of us here in your light, and all those we're connected to at FUSC, and our families, our friends, our loved ones. May they also receive the benefit of our loving prayer. Amen.
Every soul be touched by God in this house of light. May His grace be your blessing, beloveds, and may your soul open to this wondrous gift of love. I am Confucius, and I come to bring my light and my message to you, beloved souls. Your lives are precious. You are precious and loved beyond your understanding. You are loved, and you have been given the gift of life, a soul. You are experiencing your life in the flow of God's grace and being. Open your eyes. Open your eyes, beloveds, and see the wonderment that is life, the wonderment which is your presence in this life, and the wonderment of the presence of your soul within your bodies. And realize that with these gifts can come many blessings and understandings and love. It is your choice, beloveds. It is your choice to be in the light, to explore the potentials of your soul, to understand that you are worthy of all great gifts and blessings from God. It is your choice to receive, to desire this, and to be open to it, beloved souls. May the glory of God's great touch lift you into his arms, that you may know from every part of your being the love of God, and how that love is personal, intimate, perfect, and beautiful. I am Confucius, and I'm happy to come to this group of earnest souls who seek truth. May your desires and your prayers be answered, beloveds. May angels walk with you in your life. May you know light and joy, the joy of a soul awakened in love. And may the Father's blessings be yours always, beloved souls. Beloved souls, seek the light. Knock on that mighty door, and all shall come to you, beloveds. All shall come into. God bless you, and peace be with you, beloveds. Peace, joy, love. God bless you. We thank you for the birds that sing, the flowers that bloom, the sun that shines, and all the beautiful souls that are in light, and all the gifts of your life, all the gifts that you have given each one of us, and this wonderful privilege of life. We thank you, Father, for all these wonderful things, all these beautiful gifts. And most of all, we thank you for your love. That beautiful, redeeming love that heals our wounds and brings us into grace and peace and joy. May we forever pursue the light, pursue adornment with you, and grow in our souls in love. Bless all those who are connected to this church, are connected to each of the beautiful souls here this day. And for this world, may a blessing of light touch every soul